Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am going to talk about why is sadness scary and why does it feel scary. This is not a video I've planned out at all. At all, it's just something that's on my mind, and I was just thinking about these different things, and I've had some recent phone calls as well where this has been this has been a topic that's come up, and I was naturally thinking about this, and I thought I would come on here and just kind of like free talk about it, and discuss some life philosophies and like how I've come to see life, how I've come to understand human behavior, experiencing it from not just my life but also observing it from in other people's lives and how they operate and how they talk about how they conceptualize happiness and sadness, because it's very it literally varies from person to person. Like every person talks about it in a different way, and every person derives happiness or feels sad about different things as well. So but before I jump into this vast topic, please subscribe. Please like this channel, comment under below, and let me know what you think of this video, because I really want to like kind of like put my heart into this video as well. So there, just a heads up on this. There's no straightforward answer on why sadness feels scary, right? There's no straightforward answer for this, because if someone asks me on a call, hey, why do I feel scared about feeling sad? It's not going to be a 1 minute answer. I'm probably going to launch into like a 20-minute like discussion about why is sadness scary in the first place. um, well, I think it's important to understand that if sadness didn't exist, happiness wouldn't exist. Because if you only had happiness and you had nothing to contrast it with, then you would just be feeling one single feeling. You wouldn't know what it is. You would also start getting bored of it. You would also start taking it for granted. You would start taking people around you for granted as well. Like, for example, like a relationship, right? Someone that you marry. If you're constantly feeling happy in that relationship and you know that it's all like every single time, every single second, it's going to be happy, you're not going to put in any effort. You're not going to be invested in that relationship. You're not going to be present in that relationship. It's just going to be, yeah, it's just this one single feeling, and it's always going to be like this. So, let's just carry on. Let's just do whatever we want. It's only because sadness exists, it's because we know that there is a flip side to the happy feeling that we have, is what propels us forward and keeps us going and keeps us motivated in life. It's the same as I was having this recent discussion with someone who has relationship OCD related to not being attracted to his partner, right? And I was saying this to him as well. I said, you like, in order to, and he gets freaked out if he feels unattracted to his wife. So I was saying that you cannot feel attracted to her until and unless you also experience unattraction, because both sides of the coin have to coexist for human beings to understand what is what, and for human beings to be able to differentiate between what what situation occurs and what feeling occurs with it, what is the good side, what is the bad side, right? That's the only way they're able to differentiate it. So in that sense, the like sadness or whatever the bad flip side of a situation is built into the system of life. Like sadness is an essential function of human life, of society, of the universe. It's the same as, and this is kind of like, I'm obviously not a philosopher, but like if you go into different philosophies and how people talk about it, and there's also this like yin yang concept of creation and destruction. So in order to create something, you must destroy something first, and vice versa. In order to destroy something, something has to be created first. So, and in destruction, there is creation. And also in creation, there is destruction. I would also say that, I mean, again, I've not read too much in depth about the Big Bang, but I mean, it was just like Big Bang, literally. So in that kind of like colossal chaos and like destruction, there was something created as a result of it. And I think so. If you look at that, like since the dawn of time, literally, it's these functions are built into how life operates, and it's not something we can fight against. But human beings have come to believe that you can not only fight against things, but you can also control every single aspect of it, right? So imagine how societies used to be when like since the first person on earth, right, or since the first civilization existed. Not even civilization, because I think civilization becomes like a more operated system. Civilization is not the right word, but I think just like the first human beings on planet Earth. And like whether you believe in religion or not, that's besides the point. But like whoever came on Earth first were basically like those were primitive times nonetheless, right? Whether you're coming at it from a religious angle or from a scientific evolutionary angle. And like at that time, basically human beings were like mostly at the mercy of nature itself, right? Because they would find shelter wherever there was a naturally occurring shelter, mostly, right? They would hunt whatever animals were available. They had to also fend themselves with whatever sensibility and tools they had against those animals, right? Or against any other kind of like natural element like the weather as well, right? Or let's say they were living in a terrain that was not favorable to human beings, trying to adapt to that and being like, okay, what way do we find to live in this? But as time went on, obviously human beings have been able to find really great ways to adapt to their environment, right? Being able to set up shelter for themselves, trying to create societies, trying to create civilizations, trying to create tools for them to work with on a day-to-day basis, right? And in that sense, the like human civilization, as like thousands of years have gone by, as societies have progressed, as societies have like developed more and more, we've got this sense that, oh, we've got this, like we have control over things, right? We can make things happen the way, exactly the way that we want them to. Oh, we want like the water stream to come our way, sure, dig a canal and make the water come there, right? um, oh, I want more food, let's plant more seeds and like grow them in this patch, and then you can have it. You want more animals, sure, let like have animals breed and create more, and therefore you can have constant sustenance and whatnot. Like you can take this example into literally anything, even in technology as well. So we get this idea and we get this notion that, hey, we can control things, and that's also like the survivalist instinct in the human species as well, of course, because in order to survive, not only survive, but in order to thrive as well, we've obviously come to believe, and which is to some extent true as well, right? Where we can get a lot of things exactly the way we want them to, right? We've been able to create systems where, what I mean, that's where also instant gratification comes in as well. If you want to, I don't know, get a chocolate or something, you can literally just order it online right now and it'll be at your doorstep in like an hour or something like that. If you want to watch a movie or something, you can literally just start watching it right now without having to make the effort to go to like a cinema or to rent it out or something like that. You don't have to, there's no waiting for anything really. You can just literally have it quite instantly, right? So obviously, as that has happened, and everything is controllable. Everything feels controllable. Everything feels fixable, and everything feels like it can come at our like be at our mercy now. Like things are flipped now. At first, like we felt more at the mercy of the world, but now it's like, oh, like the world is at the human species' mercy in a way, right? So when that happens, then automatically people also start to feel like, hey, sadness and any other negative emotion is something we can control and fix and should be, we need to weed it out in that sense. And especially at the time that we live right now, at the time of instant gratification, at the time of like everything just you getting the things you want literally like in the snap of a finger, you not having to make any effort and like just sitting at home on your phone or on your device and being able to do essentially anything that you want to. You can book tickets, you can book hotel rooms, you can like get you can shop online, you can bank online, like literally you can experience museums online as well. You don't like have to even go to a museum. A lot of museums have this like not all of them, but like some museums have this like virtual feature as well that you can just access on their website or whatever, and you can go through like the museum itself. You don't even have to go there anymore to be able to do those things. So virtual tours are like a huge thing as well. So like there's so little effort that we have to make now with things. And so if I go back to the question of why is sadness scary, and this is just my personal opinion, I feel like sadness is it feels scary to human beings because they feel like it's not something they can control. They can influence it, and that's where obviously your progress and your awareness and study about mental health comes in essentially, and psychology and the human brain, of course. Um, but it still doesn't feel good enough because you have influence over how you feel, right? So if you're feeling sad, you can talk about it, you can try to identify where it's coming from, you can try to look at your behavior patterns. Like there's obviously this complex way of looking at, hey, why am I feeling sad in the first place, and what can be causing it, and how can I like work with it or navigate it and things like that. But at the same time, that also feels frustrating to human beings because, again, you have influence, but you don't have control. It's not something you can surgically remove from your emotional landscape. It's not something you can, like, you can have a pill and it's like, hey, it's gone. No, it's a very, like, untangible thing. It's not something you can hold. It's not something physical. So, on top of that, when you add OCD on top of things, you already are someone like people without OCD as well, right now, especially, have very low frustration tolerance. They cannot deal with any inconvenience or anything difficult or mildly challenging. Everything needs to be like, ugh, like, why is this happening? Like, let's just like fix it somehow. Let's just move on. Let's do the quick shortcut thing, right? But when you add OCD on top, obviously it even intensifies that feeling even further. And then you start seeing anything that you then see that is uncontrollable, such as sadness, such as any other negative emotion, hurt, guilt, regret. It starts to feel like, oh, because this is something that I cannot physically do something about, yeah, there's something wrong with that. I need to have control over it. I need to have fixing tools for it, and it needs to go immediately because it's the one imminent threat to my absolute peace of mind, right? So, and in that sense, sadness starts to feel like it's something going wrong with the system. Whereas going back to my original point at the start of this video, sadness is built into the system of this world, because I've had like some of my biggest life lessons, and I know this sounds cheesy and corny to say, but like I've literally had some of my biggest life lessons in my lowest points. If I didn't go through those lowest moments, I literally would not have the wisdom, the reasoning, the sensibilities that I have today as a person. It was only those moments that have led me to this moment. And as excruciating as those low moments felt at times, um, I don't think I would ever erase them from my history. I don't think I want to extract them from my history or from my memories, because if I do that, then a lot of what I'm able to even talk about on these videos or talk about on one-to-one calls, I wouldn't have that. I really wouldn't have that. And and so it has provided me with an essential function where I'm not only drawing lessons and wisdom, but I'm also, without me even knowing, what keeps me going and what keeps me working hard, what keeps me passionate and driven and trying to work on things is exactly going through those low moments, because I know what the other side is. If I didn't know what the other side was, I wouldn't be a hardworking person. I wouldn't work towards my goals because, again, I would just be feeling the same emotion. So if I'm feeling the same emotion with anything and everything I do, then what's the point of like doing anything at all, really, right? Of course, I mean, you're trying to function in life and you're trying to be healthy, but and you're trying to have a structure in life. But other than that, like, of course, like, even structure and productivity is something that you derive a certain kind of satisfaction from. um, and again, the opposite of satisfaction then is like, well, then I'll just be feeling quite miserable in that sense. So if I kind of flip the title of this video, which is like, why is sadness scary? Well, it actually, sadness in itself inherently is a scary thing. It's only scary because human beings think it's scary. That's all. Like, sadness, like, has been existing even before like human beings have existed. Like, I think sadness has just been in the fiber of the universe in that sense. Um, so it's just something that's been there. It's only us that have over time come to label it as, ooh, scary thing. Oh, this is a threat. And but even, by the way, on that front as well, it's not, if you really look at that, it's also not a universally accepted thing that, oh, sadness is a bad thing. Because if you look, and this is a very typical thing I'm going to say, but like, a lot of, but it's true that a lot of artists, singers, writers have been able to create amazing, great art out of really bad moments in their life, going through like really bad, devastating times. And a lot of those, a lot of people in that stream of work sometimes believe that they need to go through something like that to be able to create something good. And so for them, as much as they don't like the feeling, they also, from an objective point of view, they like it in terms of what it helps them create in that sense. So I'm not saying that that perspective is right or wrong, but what I'm saying is that, like, it's not even like a universally accepted thing that, oh, sadness is something that's a threat. But yes, largely human beings have, I think, come to believe that it is a threat because it's not something they've been able to put a finger on exactly how to fix it. And I don't think there will be a way to be able to fix it necessarily ever, because the best that you can do is find better ways to navigate it and try and like take the sting out of it a little bit. But that's about it. I don't think there will ever be a time where you can extract it from your life. And I think now as well, I used to be someone who had a constant inner like checking mechanism going on. Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling anxious? Am I not feeling anxious? Is what negative emotion is in there? What do I need to get rid of? What do I need to fix? Again, this was inherently the notion that kept me stuck with rumination and other mental compulsions for many years. Is this very strongly held belief that if I'm feeling a certain negative way, if I'm feeling anxious, if I'm having negative thoughts, it needs to be fixed. It means that there's something wrong and it needs to be fixed. That was essentially what it was. That was really kind of getting to me. That and it was really keeping me in a compulsive cycle of wanting to search internally 24/7, literally 24/7. It was a 24/7 internal like cycle that was going on. And I think because I've stopped seeing it as this inherent dismantling destructive threat to my entire life, if I'm feeling sad, I let myself feel sad. I don't try to force it away anymore. I used to try to force it away, but I don't anymore. And letting myself feel that way might take maybe like a couple extra days or extra few days to overcome it and let it pass. But it's better than getting into a frantic cycle of trying to get rid of it. And then I'm not only just fueling and making sadness feel sticky, but I'm also making myself anxious. I'm also making myself frustrated, and I'm making myself afraid of the very existence of anything negative. So by trying to control it, I'm actually adding like a bunch of other like emotional like a big emotional chaos in the mix. I'm adding a lot of other negative emotions in the mix as well and layering it up. Whereas if I just allow myself to feel sad and it doesn't feel great, it sucks. But at least I'm embracing, in a sense, I'm embracing like life itself in the way it exists. I'm embracing how life is built. And in that, I'm accepting it essentially. I'm not trying to fight against things that I know I cannot control. I'm not fighting against things that I know I don't have like a full grip over. There's acceptance in not having control. There's acceptance in understanding my limited capacity as a human being. That I can only do so much. I can't do this, like, I don't know, fantastical, magical thing of having literally every single thing my way. So, and I think there. I don't want to misquote or anything, but I think there's a line in the Bible as well. I'm just quoting that because I think just as a human principle, it's very important. I don't know if I even remember it correctly, but goes something like, it says something along the lines of having the serenity to, and the understanding to let go of the things that you cannot control, or understanding that you cannot control things. And that's a very humbling thing, to be honest, and a very necessary realization to have, because once you understand that you're fighting an already lost battle, then it kind of brings that alert system down a little bit. And you calm down and you're like, okay, I don't have to. I can let this be exactly how it is, you know? And I don't even have to, I think, draw linkages to how this relates to OCD. I think anyone watching this knows how this relates to OCD. It's that it's that rigid belief system and that internal control system that we're trying to have over any negative emotion: anxiety, anger, frustration, sadness, depression, all those things. It's trying to have absolute like power over them, and there's no absolute power over them necessarily. And it's changing it is literally changing your philosophy around these concepts that helps lower down those anxious, fearful responses. And because if you're only trying to work on OCD recovery as a procedure and as a method, then you're only going to stay fixated on just how many books do I read, how much do I dispute, how many exposures do I need to do, how frequently do I need to do exposures, how long will it take me to recover. That's all you're going to be fixated on. You're not going to you're going to stay stuck in a method and not try to expand your philosophy in life. And that's something so important as well. Um, and it's literally just through really questioning things a little bit, like why, like what am I thinking, like why do I think this way, and am I like what I'm thinking, is it really, is it really rational, is it really, does it hold um realistic value, um is it realistically applicable, what I'm trying to achieve. If not, then how can I change it? What is another way I can look at it? How do other human beings look at it? Is there another take I can have on this? Is there another opinion, a view? Um, and you can go into any kind of philosophy from around the world, even in, especially in like Eastern philosophies, where the way they talk about life, the way they conceptualize, how life is supposed to be lived. There is this inherent concept of like the good and bad coexisting, not trying to take one out or the other, because if one exists, then the other has to exist with it. They come as a package deal. You can't like pick and choose. So you go into that with anything, and you're going to find so many enlightening philosophies of how to see life, how to feel life, how to feel your human experience, how to embody acceptance of all these different forces in life, both on a spiritual level as well, but also on a physical level as well. And if you, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to be, again, a religious or a spiritual person, but like when I say spiritual, I mean like things that you cannot see. Like life philosophy is not something you can see. When I say this is how life is built, you can't like physically see, oh, this is how life is built. These are like understandings of how we, like abstract and mental understandings of how we see things. So, but what I'm saying is that both in the physical and like the unseeable world, um, that's what all these philosophies go into, and there's so much good material out there, and I've probably done an extremely amateur and a very poor version of trying to talk about my personal philosophy. And usually I think if I'm having like a conversation with like people, I'm a little more free handed and just like I'm able to articulate myself better. But because this is a channel for OCD and anxiety as well, and I'm kind of like aware of it, so I'm not like too satisfied with my wording of it right now, but I still wanted to do this video nonetheless and talk about this because I think it's such an important concept to understand and see how we can kind of like change a little bit of the way we look at life and some of the scary aspects of it, which actually are not scary. They're only scary because we think they're scary, because of the beliefs that we have, because of how human beings as a society have evolved over time, because of the evolutionary messages that have been passed down from generation to generation to generation, that oh, you as a human being can like curate your own reality. No, I mean you can't, or you can't always do that. There's so many aspects that you just cannot have that. Just as human beings still don't have any control over natural disasters, like a flood can come and sweep you away, like what can you do? And there are more and more, like, I mean, you see that with so every kind of natural disaster around the world, fires and floods and earthquakes and whatnot. There are things you cannot control. There are things that you don't have. You can adapt to it, of course, but it's not something that you can physically stop from happening. So yeah, a lot of different things to think about. Hope this video is thought provoking for you. Hope this video makes you think about things a little bit more. If you're in the WhatsApp groups, feel free to ask me any questions if you want to. If you come to one calls with me, please have a discussion with me on this topic. And if you're in none of those, if you're just a viewer over here, please pop in any questions you want to. And I'd be happy to talk about this on a more philosophical level. So, yeah, have a good day. Bye.